It's the clash of the premium mid-size SUVs. The all-new generation of the Audi Q5 attacks the BMW X3. So also a new generation, just that the Q5 came a little bit later. And later also some remarks to the Mercedes GLC, because it's also here inside this pack. But now it's about this head-to-head comparison. Which one is the better one? Which one is the better one for you? And maybe for us, because we are also thinking about a new vehicle. And these two are also quite high in the top hit list for us. So we will also take a detailed look for ourselves at these two vehicles here. Here was Thomas Nautical in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with this comparison with the Audi Q5. Here without chrome rings in the front. I think the bright ones look actually quite cool. They are also available in dark, but in the bright styling they are more visible. This is also an S-Line, has this special front grille with a, it looks like an RS front grille. Meanwhile, don't you think so as well? Tambora Grey is this very vehicle color, and optional matrix LED. With the BMW we also have optional matrix LED. This is here Tanzanite blue, this very beautiful, almost Thomas blue color. And you see I dressed according to like blue top, gray bottom, so I fit to both vehicles then. Here the BMW double kidney redesign in this new generation, very prominent. Some like it, some don't. This is the normal look with the contrast here. You could also get an M Sport look. For example, we already had one M50 car already. But both are very distinctive in design, and I like it when the cars differentiate. Which one do you like best at first sight? Tell us in the comments. As for the length, when we go to the side here, the Audi Q5 starts at 4.72 m, 186 inches. The length difference to the X3 then is that the X3 is 4 centimeters or an inch longer. So both the very, very same segment. Both have 18 to 21 inch wheels. These are the biggest 21 inch wheels. Here with the Audi, we have also 21 inch with the X3 here today. So very comparable, but suspension is the difference. You have a base suspension, you have a fixed sport suspension with both. And here with the Audi, optional air suspension. That one is not available for the X3. But for the X3 we also have it equipped the adaptive suspension, which is also an adaptive suspension, just without the air chamber. And we are going to test it on the road and also on the German Autobahn high speed, how they compare in driving. Both Audi and BMW, it's always a cool shot, have a similar engine setup. So it's a 2-liter 4-cylinder petrol, 2-liter 4-cylinder diesel. Then there is the performance engine, a 3-liter 6-cylinder petrol engine, and they also offer plug-in hybrids. And the very comparable engines here today, this is a 2-liter TFSI in Europe, 204 horsepower. The Northern American version would have 268 horsepower. And the X3 here with the 20, it's just called 20 now, as I said, here with 210 horsepower. However, the acceleration difference is 7.8 versus 7.2. But when you go for the X3 30, which is a standard also on the North American market, so just like a horsepower tune higher, then this one is quicker than at this one. Door closing sounds, BMW first. Oh, solid. And with the Audi, solid as well. Is there a big difference? I think both nice. Cockpit of the all-new Audi Q5 generation. Most obvious thing here with this huge black panel design, infotainment, digital instruments, and also a passenger display, which is not really used in the North American or European market. It's more for the Chinese customers indeed. And if you have the base version, there is just a black panel. That's it, you know, and at least they should have done like ambient lighting, or maybe like a here this nice wood panel or something, because this is pretty cool, you know. So it's a real matte wood. You can also hear that, how I feel it. It feels awesome, and that really spices up the vehicle here, because otherwise you have a lot of high gloss black. It's something that customers never wanted, but car manufacturers still gave it to us. Also here in the middle console, so much high gloss black. Then 4-dot design adaptive cup holders, that's nicely done. This is the integrated shifting lever, inductive charging pad in the front, but also 2 USB-C chargers. Here you can still change the driving modes, and you can also keep clicking them, so you don't have to confirm them in the screen. And another physical interface is here for the volume. Glad to still have that. Everything else in the system, for example, also the climate unit, where I still wonder, like, how am I supposed to press this? I have to do like this, you know, to press the climate, or who gave the hand as a model to design this interface? I have no idea, you know. And then you just start talking to the car, maybe, or you just leave it on 22 degrees AC or 72 degrees Fahrenheit and say like, I will never touch this again. So not good as for the interface. It does look clean, it does look futuristic and stuff, but to me a little bit too blackish, you know what I mean? Steering wheel here has also very modern open spoke design. What's cool is that you have illuminated fields here on the steering wheel, and also there's some clicking feedback. Also easy one touch for the heated steering wheel, but it's still like this capacitive design. That's so it's pro and con, I would say. Seats, they are actually quite good in the ergonomics. These are the sport seats. There are also normal or comfort seats available. The sport seats have more, accentuation here at the shoulders and so on. They always mix materials. So this is a seat mix of animal skin and leatherette. It depends on the part. Similar would be, there's microfiber, for example, for the inside available, but they do not offer any animal-free solutions. So at Audi, a little bit more drawn back as for that, and I would wish that they offer more solutions as for that. And headroom here in the front, 1.89 or 6'2". There's enough headroom left. There is also a version with panoramic roof available. Rear of the Q5 here on the top, it's a structure. It's not too hard, not too soft, something in between, I would say. And here's classic window lever, hard pack in the lower part. There's at least like a rubber pad in the low ground. Doesn't open too wide, but the ISOFIX covers, at least you can just push them up like this and then easily close them again. Seats here can be slid forward or backward, and you can also move between like a more upright cargo position or the more laid back position. Headroom with 1.89, 6'2", no problem, also for tall persons. Now comparing the rear of the BMW X3, first of all, inside the door, also with the fabric, but as I said, you can also have the leatherette here. Just an option. And then here, this beautifully done, this area here. But Leah actually suggested that they should have done the door handle and also this area in the same material, like here. And I think she's absolutely right. Good idea, because that way it's here. Doesn't look too good. Also there's no covering on the inside and so on. Doors also don't open too wide. ISOFIX covers here can be slid up quite easily and they don't fly around and so on. Also the same high-grade leatherette in the rear here, so you have a very plush and soft seating, good quality, I like that, and you have a little bit more legroom in the X3 in comparison to the Q5. Welcome to the cockpit of the BMW X3 now. Different layout here, besides of instruments and infotainment, but no passenger display, and yeah, most also don't desire that. This here, this fabric dashboard, it looks a little bit more weird on camera than it looks on real life. Gotta say that, because the cameras cannot make much of these very small structures. This fabric dashboard is an option. You do not have to go for it, and most probably won't. It is a very unique option to make it more special, but Leah and I also agreed that we would probably also configure just with the leatherette style there, and that looks also pretty cool. But you can have it. And here's then a glove box, which is kind of small, I have to say, so this could be a little bit bigger. The seats are pretty cool. So you get in the European market also fabric seats as base. They are also very nice. Here the Veganza seats, perforated, it's a high-grade leatherette, and look at here. It's really soft, it's really plush, and it's a good example for, this is the animal-free material, but it's actually softer and more comfortable than the animal material we can see in the Audi. And this is like going full circle, making it better for the animals, but also better for the customer. And that's then a logical choice. This vehicle, this very one here, is not equipped with the ventilation option, but I would advise you to go for it, because then you have it all safe. Also in summertime, you have nice ventilation. And I can tell you, if you once had a vehicle with seat ventilation, you never want to go back again to one without it. That's the thing. Different colors also available. So this is the brown one, but you can also have a bright leatherette, and also a black one is also possible. And yeah, it's really very comfortable. The seats in the Q5 were also nice from the comfort, gotta say that. And these one here are, yeah, probably also class leading. Headroom with 1.89, 6'2", no problem. There is a glass roof available. Here, however, is also just one that is fixed. You cannot open it, and that's why I would also not go for it. Just keep this one. It's also nice with the gray ceiling here, I would say. And then to the front layout here, also this one bow design with the instruments and the infotainment. Then pretty cool ambient lighting integration. Some say it's too much. I really like it. And you also have this spectacular effect when you switch to driving modes, which is a little bit more complicated here, I feel. Confirm in the screen or confirm in the lower console again. Then you have this effect that it dissolves here in the M colors, blue and red in the sport mode. That's pretty cool, right? And of course, if you know our review from the X3 so far, when you hit here the hazard lights, you also have this effect here. Yeah, some hate on that, but I think it's cool. I saw Leah just activate and then in traffic, like on purpose, like when there's like a heavy traffic jam on the motorway, she's like, now I can finally activate it again. Yeah, I mean, why not? Steering wheel up and down, in and out. Good thing here to just have it manual, it's easy. And this is also the animal-free material, which feels really soft and nice. Is a unique form of the steering wheel. You could also get an M steering wheel, which looks more classic. That would also be possible. Key fob comparison, which one do you like better? Maybe the BMW one with the colored logo is a little bit more attractive, but both are totally fine. Then remote unlock here. It's always a cool shot when both hatches are opening at the very same time. It does take us some takes for that, because sometimes it doesn't work immediately, but yeah, best result for you. Let's take a detailed look here now first at the Q5 and the X3, beginning here. And here inside the Q5, 5 for 20 liters, let's check it out. Here, the width between the wheel arches, a little bit more than 1 meter or 40 inches. And the length here also a good meter or 40 inches. And the total height here, 29 inches or 74 centimeters. And interesting is, first of all, I can fold seats here, remote unlock. So there we go, and you see here it needs a little bit more help to put them down, but then they're kind of fixed like this. And then to the X3, 570 liters, 50 liters more. Where is that actually? Because in the height it's pretty much the same, 29 inches, 74 centimeters. In the length, yeah, it's also about 1 meter or 40 inches. Here maybe a little bit shorter, but it is actually clearly wider. It's here like 1 meter 10 or 44 inches. So the width there, you got some more liters. Can also go around, but we could also reach over here if your arms are long enough. Not only 2/3, 1/3 split, but also ski hatch split available. And then here is a length of about, it's like 70 inches or 1 meter 78. And now it's time for the dynamic mode and the German Autobahn tests. So we wait till the road is clear and then we'll accelerate this one here out with the Q5 from 50 kilometers an hour. Let's go. That's 150 kilometers an hour. I mean, this is not the performance version. In most cases will be enough. The engine is not too lively, I would say. Transitions between the gears are okay. Let's see if the BMW does that better. Of course, the Leah meter does not go off because she's used to like 2 seconds, whatever, extreme supercars, EVs, and so on. Yeah. I do see that the Leah meter more often goes off when there's like a classic combustion engine though. And it's like really like, yeah, that's the thing. But here on the motorway, does it very well. Here the air suspension also plays a role in the dynamic mode. Car is lower, it's also more stable, a little bit stiffer. Now lane change at higher speeds. 120 kilometers an hour at the moment. We can also do it a little bit faster once again. 130, still also pretty silent. Because here in the front we have dual installation windows, not in the rear, but in this segment this is kind of standard. It's DLC also has it in a similar fashion, for example. Here also nice feeling with going on the brakes. You can also go back then to a different mode. We'll soon approach a tunnel, see about the noise installation there. It's really good behavior here on the German Autobahn. So you feel that they have the experience with this model and also develop it for the German Autobahn. Even when we were driving a little bit faster, it wasn't that loud. Well, how did you feel it? It's good.
Yeah, it's good, yeah.
Good comfort. And that's really when the motorway is well made, then the air suspension does a good job and like keeping it floaty. It's not a super floaty air suspension though. It is still set on a somewhat sporty note. Here now in the tunnel, 80 kilometers an hour, like 50 miles an hour. Also,
And some ambient light.
oh yeah, now we see the ambient light. Also how it changes to the driving mode. You can check here, for example, when I'm going through the different modes. Efficiency is green, dynamic now is red. There we go. But you can also individualize that it's not dependent on the driving mode, but you can just have it like you want it. And here when I hit the turning indicator, there you can see how it looks like at night.
A little bit more, I think.
Yeah,
A little bit more ambient light.
here you see that Leah says this. Yeah, this is not. You see that the girls want more ambient lighting, definitely. Yeah, in the Mercedes GLC, we have it in your face, yo. Very interesting. Yeah, I think it's good.
The X3, the new one.
Yeah, and in the X3, it's also more definitely. But now you can see that's. I would like to, you know, that it's always there. You know, I'm not sure. I tried to find a setting, but here with the interior lighting, but it seems to be that Audi says we don't need it when it's bright. Maybe there. Does it say? Interactive lighting. Okay, I'm not.
No.
No.
I can't find it. No.
It's always. Everything is on there, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I also need my digital voice assistant, Leah. So, hey, Leah, can you check if the ambient lighting is also working at daylight? We could ask the car actually. Let's see.
Yes.
Activate the.
I'm afraid I don't know how I can help you here.
That was a quick answer. Let's try it again.
Hello.
Activate ambient lighting while daylight.
Interior lighting on.
Okay, now
Oh, no.
at least.
Now it's off.
Ah, interesting.
Hello. How can I be of assistance?
Does the ambient lighting only work in nighttime?
I'm afraid I didn't understand you.
Does the mid lighting only work in nighttime? Okay. Seems to be that the voice assistant is not exactly on the level as some other cars. Let's take it that way. But the car drives well. Hey, also in the corners and so on. Good dynamic driving, so it's fun to drive. It's sporty. Also here out of the corners, really nice. And now switching to the BMW X3. I have the 20i here. The Northern American version would directly start with a 30i. In Europe we have the choice between the two actually, so this version here weaker than the one in the Q5 we have here. The 30i would be stronger. And on the Northern American market, the 30i and the TFSI that is offered by Audi, they are almost the same in the acceleration figure. So it's then like 6 seconds for the X3, 5.8 for the Audi. And here this very comparison would be acceleration 7.2 for the Audi and 7.8 for the X3. So this one in here, in this case. Here the ambient lighting looks pretty cool, especially in the sport mode. And now we can accelerate out. Let's go. It's 150. Great control of the vehicle, 180. Sorry, 160. I was already further. Now we have 180, but I went off the throttle now, and car feels really nice to control. Good steering feel. It's not too loud though.
It's good, yeah.
Interesting. So I would have expected that the Q5 is way more silent at higher speeds because of this dual lamination. But it seems to be that although there's no dual lamination here, because the window is quite thick, it's still good. So it's really astonishing how silent it is.
Yeah.
You know, would you say the Q5 is still a little bit more silent?
Maybe a little bit, yeah.
I'm not exactly sure, but maybe a little bit. But it's not that
But
would be
not that much,
wouldn't be a crucial difference or something. That is astonishing. Of course, here especially in sport mode, suspension feels rougher, and the acceleration was in this case slower because of the 20 version here of the X3. The 30 then would be quicker in the EU version, and the 30 version in the US, which is standard, to the Q5 version, which has more horsepower in the US, they are more or less the same, like with 5.8 and 6 seconds than for the X3. So it depends on the engine version and the country and the market. But here you all maybe also heard that here in the sport mode, a little bit more enhanced, that sound with this actuator. But once again, throttle input, transmission and engine is a little bit more responsive, and you don't have these these hops, you know, that happened with the Q5. So yeah, I mean, that's super interesting. So noise level, I would say comparable, although the Q5 has a dual elimination. Maybe a slight advantage for the Q5, but not really notable. Here also, when you're like really finely tuning it, even in the sport mode, it's so well to control this vehicle. The X3 more engaging to drive, better transmission, better engine feel actually. And then the Q5 somehow adds more comfort with the air suspension. That was, you know, to be expected. But also in general, the X3 feels smaller, feels more agile, but the Q5 feels a little bit more premium in the drive. Consumption, pricing, which one should you pick, or which one is the best for whom, and which one would we pick? Let's go with these questions right now. First of all, consumption, MPG, fuel economy, close to 8 liters on 1 kilometers for the Audi Q5 here with the 2-liter TFSI. That's 29 mpg US, 35 mpg UK. And although the Q5, at least in Europe, we have this more sophisticated mild hybrid system, the X3, which has just like a very base light mild hybrid system, is better in the consumption, more close to 7 liters in 1 kilometers, which is like a liter less, and about 5 mpg more each. So it's a better result, more efficient this engine, yet at the same time, the transmission and the engine feel somehow better. The transmission here with the converter automatic gearbox, just smooth, very smooth in the transitions between the gears and so on. How the engine approaches things, how direct it feels from the throttle input, and also how the engine itself feels, you know. Whereas with the Q5, we sometimes have like these sudden hums, and it's not that smooth. Also how it switches through the gears and so on. So engine and transmission, and also the fuel economy, better with the X3. As for the pricing, they both start around, like when you go low entry, 50, 60,000 euros or dollars. And if you then go for a high-spec vehicle, here as I stand right now, they are fully equipped, almost everything, not everything. There's still always something. The Q5, as it stands right now, 80,000 euros. The X3, however, is about 4,000 or 5,000 euros less expensive. So a little price gap then between. It of course always depends on the leasing rate. So most of these vehicles, especially in Europe for example, are bought with the leasing. At the moment the X3 also has some good leasing deals, so gotta watch out for that, but it can change from time to time when a big dealer group makes a special leasing offer then for one or the other vehicle and so on. But both of course very close. And then the general overview. From the exterior, I think they are very different. Yes, some prefer the previous X3 generation. They have a big design change, whereas with the Q5, the design change is not that large, I would say, from the previous to the current generation. I like both from the design, definitely. I think they have done a good job, but I can understand with the X3 a little bit more if it differentiates between love and hate a little bit more. It is more, a little bit more daring, the design overall. Interior is almost the same story. I think the layout has a little bit better overview with the BMW, also how you control things and so on. But both interiors are still cool, I feel. However, we have also shown things with both vehicles where they need to step up the game. So especially like the inside of the door area and some, for example, also with BMW underneath the armrest. So some material pieces that need to be improved. We have already addressed that to the manufacturer. We always give your feedback further to the manufacturers, and they have already acknowledged this and said, yeah, you're right, good feedback from the community and so on, and they are working on that. And even with the X3, I think we will see changes a little bit earlier because this one here, the Q5, has just been launched. But definitely there are things to criticize, and we also did that. Things which I am not like personally super happy with. Seating, the comfort in general is good with both, but the X3 seats are a little bit better. And of course, animal-free interior available also in the steering wheel. And here, good example that you have the best seats in the segment, which do not use animal materials because it's not necessary. And here you can also get the seat ventilation in combination with this high-grade leather and so on. So seating-wise, better for the X3. Driving also super interesting. The X3 is more direct, feels sportier, feels smaller, although it is not, it's actually a little bit longer, whereas the Q5 gives more suspension comfort, especially with the air suspension. Don't go with 21-inch wheels with either of these vehicles because it just gets bumpy in small holes and so on. But if you go like say like 18, 19-inch and so on, you have a way better, more sophisticated drive. I really like the Q5 also from this sophisticated, comfortable driving experience. So both are very good vehicles, and this bashing of the German automotive industry, on the one hand, criticism is good and it also helps them to make things better again. Also, for example, some fails in the interior and so on, but they're still on a very high level. And you know why people still also buy German cars, because they drive so incredibly well. Both are also very silent on high speeds on the motorway, for example. Although the X3 doesn't have the dual lamination and so on, it was still also very silent, really nice, maybe small advantage for the Q5 there. However, the base difference is a little bit more comfort here and more sportiness with the X3, but especially then if you go for the air suspension here, which is not available for the X3. Yeah, but what does it mean overall? I think it is a very close race. So still, me personally, when I count everything together, for me it's essential that an interior is animal free, because you know I have been living with animals all my life. That's very important to me. That's why the X3 wins in this aspect, and it's more engaging to drive. It's more fun to drive. Fuel economy is actually better. The seats are a little bit better. And then when I go for smaller wheels, then it's also not that crucial that I don't have an air suspension. And that's why the overall choice would be the close call still, the X3 for me here today. But what about you? Tell me in the comments, let's discuss and check out more comparison episodes.